Yeah.
Solutions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely.
You know Brandon Deere?
I do know who Brandon is. Yeah, I worked with Vin Solutions guys all the time.
Test.
All
1
the
2 1 2.
And I would have probably stayed there, but I'm not built for.
My name is Jose.
Yeah, I'm not built for corporations. Like you want to break. They always talk with the people.
You don't look happy.
How they can pay you less, even though they were producing more. I just was like,
especially KB.
Yeah, and so I left.
There's some ice up there. You can probably just throw enough in there and make a call.
Director at the time. I left. They didn't tell anybody. And so then,
dude, when I was at the dealership,
started
we live
saying, "Hey, what happened?" Because I was friends with all them.
All right, guys, we're live. And welcome everyone back to our third round of Game Changer Seminar here in Dallas, Texas. Again, we appreciate everyone that has come out to the event, and we appreciate you folks on the interweb for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Our next speaker, well, what can I say about Darrell? Let me think. I guess
nothing good.
You know what? The first time I met Darrell, I was actually working in an event. And it was a used car seminar, and we'd gone through 2 or 3 presenters at this point, and then this guy comes up with just one of the flashiest suits I think I've ever seen, right? And what came out of his mouth for that next 45 minutes just utterly impressed me, and I was so excited that Darrell was able to jump on board and be a part of this series. Darrell is the president of Smart Wolf Consulting. Smart Wolf Consulting is a game changer for auto dealers by helping them source the right inventory faster, smarter, and more profitably. Their proven acquisition strategy and expert coaching gives dealers the tools to grow inventory, margin, and long-term success. Guys, a big round of applause for Darrell Steed.
The 45 minutes of talking when he met me was betting on football. And I made him win money, and so now magically he thinks I'm good at this. So, you guys, my name's Darrell Steed. I'm going to walk around. I can't stand behind a podium. I'm not a president, and I need to move. But Smart Wolf Consulting is breaking free from the status quo. So how many of you guys are winning at used cars right now? Like truly winning? She kind of raised her hand. So how's used cars doing for you guys? Selling, buying, everything else?
A little bit's going great.
Really good?
Give the illusion that the customer has control.
I love that, the illusion to give control, okay? Because that's what we all have in life. Now, are you buying or just selling a lot of used cars? Like both, okay? So when you think about that, we have one person in the room that is buying, selling, and doing well and saying they're winning in used cars. And that's pretty typical across the country. Is one person has kind of either got ahead of it, they've got something going on, and then it's like, what's the biggest challenge? When you look at pre-owned inventory, pre-owned operations, what's the biggest challenge as dealers that you guys face today? And it's easy if you raise your hand. I don't have to pick on you because I definitely will pick on you.
Good inventory.
Good inventory. What is good inventory?
Things that are well taken care of.
Okay. So stuff that you can retail that doesn't have a lot of recondition, right? Stuff that turns faster. Okay. And if I showed you a way today, would you be ready to do it? Like, are you ready to make more money? Buy more cars, sell more cars. Now, before we shake our head, because everyone's gonna be like, yeah, that's the whole point of being in an auto dealership, okay? This is the hardest job in America, in the auto industry, by the way. So all of the people that are finance directors and think that, oh, my job's hard, or GM's like, oh, my hard, it's not. When I'm done showing you guys about how buying cars will actually change your dealership and making that the focus, you'll realize that none of you guys will wanna buy cars, but you absolutely have to buy cars. Okay, and what we start with is street smarts. Okay, this is my learning academy. Okay, for those of you guys that let's say we'll say over 30. Okay, when you look at the word street, does it remind you guys of anything? First thing it reminds you of?
Street racing.
Street racing. Okay. This logo is very specific to something in your genre.
21 Jump Street.
Huh? 21 Jump Street? Not quite. There we go. Street Fighter, the game that was in every pizza joint across America. That is the actual Street Fighter text. Okay, and what it was designed to do is to grab impact, and then it would bring a nostalgic feeling. And you get that from like movies and things of that nature. But the reason we did this is, how many of you guys are actually taking stuff from the street and putting it back into your store rather than going to the auction and giving all your profits away? So any of you guys from Mannheim or an auction? Sorry. probably really pissed right now. So I have to walk outside so you guys don't hear reverb as I play this next one because I don't want you guys to hear the wah, 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 wah. So, oh, wait. No, we muted it. 1 second. I have to run and do this. So we have a little bit of technical. Okay. And all right. So how many of you guys, when you watched that video, when you saw that, do you think they buy or sell cars? Okay. What made you guys think they buy cars? Okay. The branding. How many of you guys have a tent outside your store over your guys' cars for shade, where your salesmen stand under the point, things of that nature? That's probably just a West Coast thing, right? Like they don't do that all across the country, right? So that whole tent, that whole branding it's pretty simple if you have a brand, and it's cheating if you have Toyota, because I mean, let's get real, it's Toyota, it sells itself, is they know you sell cars. So any type of like point of sale on your store, is it for shade? Because they already know you sell that brand. What do you do outside of that drives a different form of traffic into your store? So we took a store and we took a really hot commodity in Stellantis. Okay, it's a really strong brand right now. And we said, okay, how do we drive more traffic to like a Dodge brand? Okay, and we put a tent out, we put on the window, we put in the showroom. Okay, it is a buying center. They operate completely anonymous from the sales department. All they do is buy a car. If you ask them to sell you a car, they cannot do it. One, because they don't have sales licenses. That's how we made sure they couldn't sell anybody. But two is how many of you guys, when you guys take in a trade in your guys' store, the customer says, man, I love the trade process. It's great. It's one of the greatest things I've ever went through. No one? But it's been around forever. It must work, right? We've always done it. And it's so great, we don't want to change it. No? That's because we give the illusion in the trade process. I love that. That's great. Because I was going to use that later, but now that she said it already. But we give the illusion they're winning with no validation. How many of you guys in your guys' trade number, the number comes from you? Don't be shy. I already secret shopped all your stores, so. So when if you guys are doing Foursquares, we're going to get in a different conversation later. Okay. Now, by the way, that's all of you, because if you're doing multi-pencils, that's just the new Foursquare. Okay. You just ran out of Sharpies. But when you guys give the trade number, is it coming from a source outside of your own algorithm, your own website widget? Okay. So KBB, that's a good one. That'll definitely start a conversation. How many of you guys are using ClearCar, AccuTrade? What other ones are out there? Edmunds. Trade Pin. Sure, I guess we'll go down that road. Okay. Trade Pending. How many of you guys are using Trade Pending? I think it's in like 9,000 stores now, so it's like a lot of people. When you give them that number, where does the number come from? Right? Do we know? Well, it's Trade Pending. They don't use a book at all, or so they say. It's an algorithm-based thing off scraping inventory listings. Okay. So you ask yourself, do we treat every single car the same? That's your acquisition wheel. Do you have a strategy for every single one of those operations? And when I say strategy, a different department works in every one of these things in your store. This isn't, our sales guys do this, and this, and they sell cars. That's probably why you're not buying used cars. That's probably why you don't make a lot of money in used cars. Every one of these is a department in your store. Buy center is kind of a generic term. It's like the buzzword now. It's like AI. Right? We say, and we're like, oh man, how do we get one of those? That's your third-party leads, ICOs, instant offers, AccuTrades, private party listings like a Van, VetX, any of those tools. That's your buy center. It's how you get from consumer. Auction, see, I don't hate the auction a lot, right? We need them, kind of, but we need them 5% of the time. right? Off lease, that's fairly self-explanatory. Rentals, not as self-explanatory. That's if you have an in-store rental program, your service. You have loaners, you're actually going to bring those into like a carousel program, more profit than you can possibly imagine if done correctly. Service drive, if you're not doing this by the time we leave today, okay, it's okay to hate money, just don't tell me it's you, okay? This is where all your money lies. Trade-ins, we could talk about that all day long. That's a philosophical conversation. And then your owner base. Owner base is different than service drive. A lot of people think it's the same thing. It's not. One is a sales derivative. Another one is a service derivative. Right? And so how do you attack these, and do you have different messaging for each one of them? Right? Because again, customers are different. As Dan said, like you have to talk to the customer, not to your agenda. If you push your agenda, you are going to have issues because you're doing something that's comfortable for you that customers have hated. And buying centers. So KBB ICO, I worked for KBB ICO as their senior trainer for 6 years before I decided I wanted to actually help people do more than one thing. Before I formed Smartwool, they're going to teach you how to do ICO. Badly, I might say, actually, okay? Because they give you everyone the same templates, the same everything else, and say, hey, by the way, I've sold it to 9 people around you, and you're all sending out the same exact thing. And then we wonder why. We're like, well, why is the national close rate only 2.7%? Right? Do we have a different message so we can talk to that audience so it's tailored to them? Do we make them important? Whoops, not that way. We're not doing that again. How did things change? Yep, we got these guys. We've seen one of these, right? These little video game machines, okay? You can get your car with the big coin that came in the FedEx envelope. And we know these guys. How many of you guys have been in the industry 25 years or more? 1, 2, 3, okay? 4. And when they came out, how many of you guys were laughing at them saying this will never work? It's okay. I was one of those people. I was like, there's no way this is working, okay? And the biggest one, the very first one over in the East Coast, second one, LA, third one was in Roseville, California. That's where I'm from. And the one in Roseville, California just does a small number of 1,200 sales a month and 1,500 acquisitions on the back of an auto mall. Do you think that auto mall is laughing now? But the very first one here, Amazon, is actually what changed the car business more than anybody else. Does anyone know? And so that we don't go down the wrong road, it's not because of what they just did with Hyundai and selling new cars. Okay, so I want to give you guys a chance to get in this. Do we know how Amazon changed the car business? They did it with one button.
They made it easy to buy something. Right.
Buy it now. That's it. They put a buy it now button on it. So you can get an instant, boom, done purchase. And so that changed the shopping experience across every internet platform of if I can do it there, why can't I do it in the auto industry? People needed instant gratification, and they needed to be easy. And it no longer got to get done your way because you were comfortable. They want it done their way. How many of you guys have a buy it now button on your website that doesn't take them through DR? They can just go right to checkout. No? All right. No one does, by the way. So you have to go through some DR thing to get qualified, everything like that, okay? But that's coming, okay? But here's if you guys were a customer, and I know this is gonna be hard for anyone that's in the auto industry, we're jaded, okay? We don't think like this, like we've lost it, right? What's important to you guys in life? I'm missing one that you would say in life is important to you, but 2 of these 3 fall into almost every time you ask this question. Top 3 things that are important to everyone in their life are what? Family, time, and money, right? Consumers, I'm sure family's in there, but we can't somehow magically heal their family. So how do we help them with time and money? Right? Are you faster? Are you easier? Do you pay more? Convenience and service? How many of you guys deliver cars? We won't talk about acquisition. Deliver cars to someone's house free of charge. They buy their car. Up to how many miles?
How many months?
Miles. How far will you go? 50 miles, okay. How many of you guys will go up to 500 miles? Not free, right? It's got to cost something. That's not the wrong answer, right? That's 100% the right answer. By the way, if you want convenience, that's not free. Okay? Listen, there ain't nothing that's convenient that's free. We've been established that for long ago, okay? But if you offer it, then there's a value to it, right? What they think that value is, an interpretation, illusion, whatever it may be. But they would pay something, or they'd pay more for something if I never had to be, or if I didn't have to be inconvenienced. Do you offer that? And here's the big one right here. Why you? And I put not CarMax because that's the most generic one to look at, but CarMax, Carvana, any of the, why would I come sell my car to you and not them? Do you do any one of these three things better than CarMax? And here's the test. We're going to find out right now. Raise your hand if you've went to CarMax and had your car appraised in the last year. Went to CarMax, not online. One person, two people. So how do you know if you do any of those things better if you haven't done it yourself? Case in point, we push our agenda. We don't actually go to where the customer needs to be. We're not solving a problem. We think we're solving a problem because we're like, well, we do it. Do you? Right? You have to ask yourself, do you? So this is one of my real life buyers. I play the sound, but I'm getting a ridiculous amount of feedback. But you can read the words because we have smart text on it. So at Street Smarts, we did this into a store. We had them do this. How many of you guys would love your buyers, if you had hybrid salespeople, things of that nature, say something like, we learned how to read the room, interacting with them, and over 70% of the time, they take less than their actual CarMax certificate. Not online, CarMax certificate. That happens. Oh, by the way, this is in that Dodge store, that really hot brand that's doing so well in America. Okay. We do this because here's the very first thing I'm going to talk about. Vehicle Acquisition Network. Okay. That takes all your private party listings out there, puts into one aggregation source. It's not affiliated with me. I use this in almost every store I do it. Why? How do you speed things up? If we have to deliver time and we have to deliver convenience to our customers, how do we get to it faster so that we're not bogging our people down? What we're going to give to our people, our consumers, we need to provide for the people that are working it. We need to give them the things to do that, right? Are you on social? Could I find you? How many of you guys on your electronic leash have checked your social media since you've been here? Really? This is how we're going to start the relationship line? Okay. Well, at least we're being like dealers now. Okay, we're in the right realm. Okay. So how many of you guys have taken a text? Oh, okay, now we're in it. How many of you guys have checked an email? Let's just, no, I know you're lying. Okay. All right. Social media. Are you in social media? In acquisition? If we were to go to your guys' Facebook page, I know you'll have one. It's an OEM thing. You have to have one. Am I going to find anything on your OEM page, your Toyota, your Nissan, your Subaru, and everything else that isn't from the OEM? Or do we just get the post that your OEM gives you that has to be on there so that it shows you have content? Hey, listen, we all do it. This isn't a question I came up with because no one's guilty of this. Do you buy cars? And can I find you on social media? Do you have a different brand on social media? Different than sales. If they don't like the trade process, which we know they don't, because if they did, ICO would have never been invented. Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer would have never been invented, nor trade pending, nor AccuTrade, any of these, if we would have handled the trade process correctly 30 years ago. We did such a terrible job with it, consumers with the conflict of going back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth, they wanted somewhere they could get a number to start the conversation. Do you have that brand out there for you? Right? So this is another one, and you guys can read the words. Have you guys ever had this where we find out they're trying to sell a car and had damage? Will you guys give them a value and show them how they can actually just sell their car right now? They don't have to worry about insurance. You'll just sell it for wholesale. This is not a retail car. We're going to give them a value. We're going to flip it, make $500, and we're going to take the customer now so they don't have to go through this rigmarole or educate them to what it's going to look like after they get it fixed, whatever it may be. Again, are you meeting the customer where they want to be, or are you pushing an agenda that works best for you? It's not always about what works best for us. It's about building a consumer base, about building a brand. Okay? Some of you guys might have this. This is a sales thing. See, sales works with acquisition. And I made all these, right? We were talking about AI. Sometimes AI is good, right? I couldn't make this by myself, right? So I got my AI engine in there, okay? Is if you had like Lot Walk, or if you had like some SEO and SEM, is how do you guys take acquisition and drive more sales? How many of you guys have vAuto? Okay, good amount of people. What other tools do we have for inventory management? Which one? No, that you have it in the room. Who has Dealer's Link? Who has Inventory Plus? What other ones do we have that if you're not using Viato, what are you using? Everyone's using Viato then? iPacket, okay. So what's a big determining factor of selling a car? What's your biggest thing you look at when you're in that tool? Outside of gross. Okay. Just get past that. How do we determine whether or not this car is a good thing for us to carry? Market day supply. And some version, days on market, market day supply, that's how we analyze all these things. Now, if I'm a dealer link rate, I'm going to tell you, we can give you all this data and all this AI stuff, but we're not going to scrub Auto Trader because Cox Automotive doesn't play nice with everybody. But if I'm in Viato, I'm going to say, I'm going to give you all this data except for the fact that they only scrub Auto Trader data. So, you got to pick the camp you're in. But it all goes based on market day supply. Do you know the downside to market day supply? As in, if you're a group, and you move it from one store to another, it doesn't reset. It resets the clock, even though that VIN has been in the market the same 60 days already. So then you would be like, oh, I think I'm getting a new car, and it tells me 32-day market supply, but it was just at my other store for 60 days because it resets the clock because it's a new store. So is that a good car to have, that it's already been sitting in the same market for 60 days? Be nice to know that. Viato isn't going to tell you. Neither is Dealer's Link. So do you take this analytics, okay? There's another one, AccuTrade, universal the trades process. Let's ask the real question here, guys, when it comes to used cars. Are trades more valuable than purchases?
Yes.
Whoa. Wow, that was quick too. This is even better than last time. How is a trade more valuable than a purchase?
Usually you buy it better.
You do? So if I trade it in or I sell it to you, I can get more money if I trade it?
For us, it's better, yeah.
So is there a brick of Bolivian cocaine in this car? How did it change value from a trade to a purchase?
The relationship on a trade.
No cheating. We're not there yet. we didn't. Yeah, she has the right thing. The relationship of the customer is how it's worth more. The car cannot be worth more. So if I went into your guys' stores right now and I went to a trade process, are you giving them the same number that you'd buy a car at the auction for? Of course you're not. I'm not saying 2, but so we're clear. Definitely not saying 2. I know what you're paying at the auction.
7%.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa, you're getting off light. Only 7% more? Wow. But if I went through this and they said, I want to sell my car, how does it become more valuable if it's a trade? Outside of a tax credit for the states that have them, or outside of the fact that it's a previous customer in a service drive, how does it become worth more?
Usually we get it for less.
You would get it for less because you have some trades you should be getting for a little bit less for one reason only. They're replacing it with something so that you actually have something they want. If it's a purchase, you have nothing they want and have everything you need. But if I did the appraisal process, evaluation process, whatever you guys want to call it, should that be any different between a trade and a purchase? If I went and walked a car, is the process you do for both the exact same? With the same tool and the same presentation, values aside, is the presentation the same? Is it that way in your store right now? This would be the time we wouldn't want to lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
So if I came to your store and I said it's a trade-in, are they going to do the walk around, everything else? And if I say I'm going to buy it, am I going to get treated the exact same way? For instance, if I came to sell a car, not at your store, if I came to your store and I want to sell my car, how quickly are you going to have that appraisal done for me, put it in front of me, and give me an opportunity to say yes or no?
Maybe 10 minutes.
10 minutes if I'm just selling my car to you. And if it was a trade, how long is it going to take?
Probably a little longer.
Longer. Okay. Well, I love the candor here. That's the first time I've ever heard that. It's usually the exact opposite. If it's a trade, they're like, oh, it's a trade? Oh, let's go, guys. We got to get it going. We got to keep them cooking. If it's a purchase, yeah, just go ahead and put them in the easy bake oven over here, okay? And we'll get to them when we get to them. And the reason why is like, I'm not selling anything. Who's going to go do that appraisal? Who does the appraisal on a purchase in your store right now? I just want to sell my car. Who does it? Oh, the manager. Here we go. Let's go with this. We're really lying to each other today, okay? The manager can't get out from behind his desk. Now he's going to do an appraisal on a purchase? Okay, so he's going to go do the appraisal. So what is he going to stop doing? Is he going to stop desking the deals to go do this appraisal? Oh, he's going to stop. You're going to do it? But I love this guy. This guy, he's like, yeah, I'm going to sell the lie. I'm holding on to it. We're going deep into the, right? Yeah. So No, this is fine, because if that's really the case, again, we're talking one has a used car operations for acquisition, one saying, I don't care what it is, I'm making. We're talking in a room of 50 people. We have 2 people that are saying, like, I don't care what it is, that's first priority. Everyone else is like, I don't know, maybe a salesperson, by the way, is never making an acquisition a priority. They don't get paid on it. Okay, well, I'm saying if you don't, right, you're the one store that has figured this out, okay? Versions of it. I might even be able to share something new. You might have it all, like, you might have stole my playbook already. But if they don't get paid on it, do you really think they're going like, oh yeah, let me go make that a priority? And even if they do, because you've got them like scared to death, and they walk out there and they do the appraisal, now they miss the up because they're all waiting for this magical up, okay? And they miss the up and they go like this. Doing that appraisal, you cost me $1,000, man, because that was going to be my deal. Because I'm sure you've never heard that before either, right? No salesman ever says that to you. If it wasn't for the fact you made me do something I don't get paid on, I would have been that guy. That would have been my magical up, and I would have made all the money on him. Okay? Because that's never happened on your own. Okay? So is used car operations the most important thing in your store? Should be. I agree. Here's a service drive. Do you have something like this in your service drive? Maybe I'm finally going to get her to shake her head no and say she doesn't have this already dialed in, okay? I'm hoping one of these things she's going to say, oh, I don't have that. Okay, so, okay. Do you know how many ROs you write, non-internals, but warranty, customer pay per month? As a sales manager, you should know that number every single month. As a sales manager, a closer, salesperson. If you're that progressive, God bless you, but like, I don't think that's going to happen.
That hurts.
Okay, yeah. If I know I write 3,500 ROs, how many of those cars should we be looking at to take back in? Sweet Jesus. Okay. This is how I know he's a vendor, because no dealer in his right mind would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to look at them all. Except my guy in blue over at the Honda store. He's like, I'm on the desk and I look at all the service cars too. He's like, I go out there every appraisal, wrapping it up all day long. You're going to look at 15% of them, realistically. And that's assuming you're going to put bandwidth to it. If you say, oh, we're going to throw one person at it on 3,500 ROs, you'll be lucky if you look at 10% of them. But you look at 15%, that's this number. How many did you actually do by the end of the month? Right? 15%, where'd you end? How many cars do you want to take? 20% of the 15%, which gets you to a 3% closing ratio of your total ROs. That is an industry like you are literally Superman. If you're running at 3% total yield, like put on your cape, okay? Start going and teaching people how to do this. I always like competition, okay? So, but if you can get one, let's just go here. You get 1%. You wrote 4,000 ROs and you just got 1%. That's 40 deals. Typically right around a 70% trade rate, because rarely are they just selling their car unless it's got major malfunctions. But how many of you guys are tracking this so that if you measure it, you can manage it? If you don't measure it, you're guessing, which means you're not really doing it. But in your service drive, if I know I have 3,500 customers coming across, how are we not taking in, feeding those in? So I'll give you an example. No competition to you guys. Fitzgerald Auto Group in Maryland, and then a couple stores in Florida. They have a Toyota store. That's why I say it's cheating. It's like a built-in cheat code for Toyota. They write 7,000 ROs a month out of their service drive. And when I say it's ridiculous, I think they have 92 bays. It's the dumbest. I mean, when I went in there, I thought they were lying. I got there at 6:30 in the morning to see this. Yeah, there was 100 cars in line. And I was like, this is ridiculous. 7,000 ROs a month, they don't work their service drive. Now, as Toyota people know, you don't get inventory. Like, whatever you get, and you're selling out of it. Like, I mean, there is no day supply. Maybe a Tacoma or a Tundra, but outside of that, you're selling everything you got. So I think they have a 4-day supply. Like, everything's on order. As it comes in, it goes out. Do they even need to do advertising? If I have 7,000 ROs, I could sell the 200 cars a month that I'm getting from inventory out of my service drive for the next 18 months without ever worrying about it. If I was at 1%, I don't have to be at 3. And I get trades, and I'm selling cars. So we think about it and we're like, okay, are we actually attacking this in the most profitable way possible? If you're not doing service drive, I can honestly tell you, no. You spend no money for that customer. in the sense of you've already marketed to get them. They're coming back to you. Why would you not serve up an option? Because I don't have to pay to get them there. They're coming to me if I did my job if we did our job in service. Now, if I go look at your Google scores, as Dan showed us, okay, and you have like a 2-star in service, don't start this today. Please don't, okay? I don't want to bring your score down any further because there is relevancy. It's going to get less relevant very quickly, okay? So it kind of just shows you, how do you guys get more cars out of service? Here's what the van dashboard looks like. This is a store. I screenshotted this yesterday. This is where it takes all the private party, the Facebooks, the Craigslist, the cars.com, all the private party listings that aren't lead source or leads. This is a store, 2 buyers, 109 appointments, 69 show, 47 cars bought. Right now. It's the 12th.
That's private party?
This is just private party off the street. This is not your ICO leads, your AccuTrade leads, your trade vending leads. This is purely off the street. Do you guys have a strategy in your store that attacks the street? And if you do, is it the same the way you track the leads? It's 2 very different situations. Okay? But could you imagine by the 12th, if you had 109 appointments, 69 show, 47 purchase? I don't know how many of these are trades and or purchases, because obviously people don't just come in and say, buy my car. They probably need to replace it. But they've already acquired 47 cars. So you have to ask yourself, what does that do for your business? This is a Nissan store, okay, that retails about $200 a month new and used, okay? They don't go to the auction. They haven't been to the auction in 2 years. Everything comes from their buying center or trade-ins, one way or the other. So they actually like profit. They told Manheim they're all done paying their bills, and they're going to go ahead and keep some of that profit. So no auction fees for them. Now this, I know, is going to probably be a point of contention for some of you guys. I got even worse news. Paying on the spot was this really cool, innovative thing 10 years ago. Now, if you don't do it, you just don't want business. There's a couple stores, we'll pull out our leash again, that Zelle and Venmo on the spot. They do the paperwork. They set up a Breeze account, because I would never tell people to do this. They have a pass-through account, so it doesn't attach to theirs in case any type of hacking. But they'll go like this, okay, what's your thing? Boom, and they go, oh, you're on Zelle? Instant funding. Am I saying do that? No, I think that person is definitely on the risk meter, okay? I don't know if I'm in on that yet. But paying on the spot, why wouldn't you guys pay them on the spot? Everyone does it, everybody. Carvana, CarMax, BP, any of the shifts, any of these AutoNation. So if you say, well, yeah, I'd buy cars. I'd buy them right now, but it's going to take me 7 days to get it from corporate, 3 days to get it from another store. What is your only solution to getting people to wait for a check when they can go to any other store and get a check today? Oh, there's a solution. Okay. All you got to do is pay them more money. So again, if you want to be less profitable, tell somebody no. Sorry, we don't do that. I know everybody else does it. We just don't do it because we're going to hold to our principles and not buy cars. We like giving all our profits to Manheim and Odessa. Oh, and by the way, guys, the check 90% of the time, okay, gets held on their account anyway. And let's go one further. When you guys sell a car, are you guys a delivery state? Spot delivery? They can take the car when they buy it? Mm-hmm. Do you hold the car until the trade clears? No, what? I don't understand. But it's got a payoff. You wouldn't want to dare release the car before the trade clears, right? Because that's what you tell them when you buy their car. Oh, I would love to give you an equity check. I can't, though, because the payoff. And I got to have the title. If you do it with trades, it's no different than on a purchase. It's the exact same nomenclature. You get a 10-day payoff, you verify it, you got a check, you got the equity. Now, do you put parameters in if it's a $20,000 equity check? I probably would. I'd probably put some rails in there of like just protecting my investment. But I'm going to give them most of it. Because again, I know if they go to CarMax, they go to Carvana, they're getting a electronic check on the spot. Okay? So do you guys pay them? And is this a standard in your store? And how fast does that happen? So you're going to get me an appraisal in 10 minutes. I'm going to your guys' store tomorrow for sure, okay? How fast does it get a check once I say yes?
No, you have to wait.
How long?
Depending on the deal, but I would say maybe 5 business days.
Oh, wow. Okay, 5 days. That's good. I love it. So I'm good. Raise your hand if you guys are willing to wait 5 days for your money. No, come on. You guys wait, right? You guys are all patient people, right? Patience is a virtue in the auto industry, right? We don't make emotional, rash decisions, do we?
That's my job. It's my job to
Yeah.
get you to make an emotional rash decision.
That is your job, to get them to make an emotional, rash decision. But like this, I'm glad you said yes. Now, if we could, if you guys would just mind to just come back in 5 days, we'll have that all wrapped up. Oh, by the way, we'll go and take your keys. We'll do all the paperwork. We're going to leave you without a car or any money. And trust us, because dealerships are very trustworthy. There's nothing that you could possibly find in history that would show that dealerships are untrustworthy. No evidence whatsoever, just every movie ever made. Okay? Now, I could just be saying a lot of things that get a lot of impact statements. So I did have 2 dealers, very kind enough, okay? I did have to do some begging, some pleading, some free movie tickets, stuff like that, to let them get access to their DMS. But I know as dealers, you guys don't really care what anyone says unless they can show that there's results, right? I can tell you all these great things, and if you don't get results, you'll be like, yeah, it sounds great in theory. Here's the buying center that I've had for a client going on the 4th year, and we're kind of give you guys an idea. This is what we did. We took every car they bought, if they sold it, right, within that calendar year, what the expense is to run the buying center, their net profit, and how much they saved by not buying those cars at the auction. So we started in 2021 tracking it. 2.8 million. Their expense was 427. That expense is all their buyers, their mechanics in the shop that just do the used car department, all their advertising, okay, everything that's encompassed to just the buying center. They made a net profit just in Q4 of an additional 2.4. They would have bought the same amount of cars, same cars, assuming they just paid MMR for them, which we all know that's really possible at the auction that you just pay MMR. They would have paid $1.4 million more for the same inventory. Then we go to 2022. We're going to go ahead and let you guys see this, but we all know what that was. And so this is kind of like a Fugazi stat, okay? Because let's get real. If we didn't make more money, we really wouldn't be talking about much. That was COVID. But then the year after COVID, we all know what happened. 3-4 months into it, the cliff kind of just fell off and stuff started going down. 9 million. Yeah, their expense went up because we had more buyers. We're buying more cars. 8.5, and they saved 3.7. This was through July 31st, 2024. And we got that. And so they were still tracking that same number. And it shows you, one second, here's how many purchased just through July 31st that they bought. COVID. These are, by the way, these have nothing to do with third-party leads. This is just off the street. Third-party leads was an additional 60 a month. Service was about 40 a month because they only had one person on each one of those. They had a whole team for the street acquisition. And to give you guys the breakdown, this is what the Excel sheet looks like. So the reason I show this is because sometimes in dealerships, we have a hard time understanding one thing. Profit is made everywhere by used cars. But we have gotten to this really bad habit of thinking we can only make profit in used cars on the front. And if we can't make it on the front, we don't buy it. That's partly to do with the fact that sales plans are only derivative of front profit, not looking at the whole thing. Here's your fixed ops. These are all net profit numbers. Fixed ops, PVR, back end, their pack total. So you can see it. If I told you guys right now, and you guys can raise your hand, I have 100 cars for you. These are all cars that have a 45-day supply or less. You'll make 0 on the front, $2,000 on the back, and $1,000 in service, but you have to take all of them. How many of you guys want the whole load? These are the 2 smartest people in the whole room, guys. Get their autographs, okay? The rest of you guys didn't raise your hand probably means that you guys aren't in the used car game. Because those 100 cars, if you just did the math, you made 0 or lost $500, is $2 million of additional revenue. And 100 new customers. That's the big number. Does anyone know what your guys' average cost to acquire a customer is in your store? Somewhere between $300 and $700 a customer, depending on your brand and market. Okay? So when you look at that, it's like, where are you making money? It could be from reduction of advertising costs. It could be from fixed operations. By the way, it's how you make more net. Okay? It's the safest place to make your money because you pay out less on it. Could be in back end if you're a really strong back end store. So that's a Honda store. These are Honda numbers. Here's that Dodge store I was showing you. They don't do near the volume, obviously. Okay, but this was last year. Let's just go to the Excel spreadsheet. Those numbers work for you guys? Every time a used car touches your store, if we're making $6,200 a wrap, all the way around, full service. Now looking at these numbers, knowing this is Stellantis, one of the toughest brands to deal with right now, if we got you 50 opportunities a month, that's 50 more customers. Is it something you want or you don't want? Do you want to go ahead and save money and not pay this much? This is all at MMR too. That's the average amount that you're buying cars below MMR. That's assuming you can get them at MMR at the auction, fees and everything else. So it just kind of gives you guys an idea when it comes to used car acquisition. By the year and make. So if I was acquiring cars, every time I buy a 2020 Chevy Malibu, 80% of the time we grab a trade-in from that. Would that influence what you buy? Analytics making decisions, not emotions and thoughts. We'll let the customer make those. They use analytics, right? I want the customers to know that you want them to be emotional. So when you look at that as your acquisition thing, I'm not doing this out of left field. Is we use reporting statistics to say, what should you be buying? The good inventory. Now, what you think is good. You think like go through recon. You might be like, actually, your GSM might say, no, I wanted to go through recon because we're actually making more on the service side than the retail side. But every time we take a car and we're making $2,000 in service, $2,000 on the back, and you're like, yeah, but it takes yeah, but we're making $4,000 before you even try to sell the car. Right? So you have to look at that and you have to know what's bringing me more trades. If trades are where the money's at, and that's the only place we still have leverage, okay, is the conversation of trades. How are we not driving more trade traffic? And if you're doing look to book and it says you're 40% because you only put in what you actually see, okay, put in all your sight unseen, put all your service drive in, put in everything car that comes across your curb. Okay, the stores that are acquiring a lot of cars will do 300 to 400 appraisals per month, and the store that sells 100, 300 to 400 appraisals and be at like a 20% look to book because they appraise everything. Every car that comes across the curb is an opportunity for acquisition. The higher your look to book is, 9 times out of 10 is because you only put in what you actually are desking the deal on, not what you have the opportunity to buy. Right? Metrics, again, that we got conditioned to thinking, but don't actually show how we're doing. Higher, more appraisals, more conversion. Right? The more you look at, obviously, the more you probably buy. Right? That's a pretty simple math number. Okay? That is Street Smart, Smart Wolf, and I really focus on acquisition for this reason. Every store that we've made used cars and acquisition, the primary focus, a team dedicated to it, that's all they do, they get paid differently, everything else, we've seen no less than a 30% increase in sales. Because once we have the cars, we have choices. And if we have choices for people to look at, we drive traffic. Now, there's other things that go into it, right? And I'll leave you this one for you guys to have a burning desire or a thought when you go back to your store. When you guys buy cars, how many of you guys, when you take in a trade, managers, GSMs, GMs, service directors, when you take in a car, how many cars do you take in that you have no intentions of making money, but you buy it or trade it specifically for clickbait? And I'll give you this example. An 05 Toyota Tacoma with 100,000 miles. No cosmetic damage. How many of you guys want that car? I would hope every hand in this room goes up. Okay? And I'm going to price it at $19,995. Does anyone know what retail book is on that car? With those miles? It's about $13,000. I'm going to price it at $19,900. Do you think anyone's going to come buy it? How do they buy it? Cash. Can't finance it. Okay? If they got bad credit, they can't roll negative equity on it because I'm asking $6,000 over retail for it. Okay? So I'm driving traffic because people, that is a cult car. And they're going to click on it, and then I get them there. And you know what I'm also going to go buy when I buy that truck? I'm going to go buy a Maverick and a Colorado. I'm going to buy a couple trucks that are in similar segments. So when they come in and go, yes, I really want that. And you go, yes, I really want that. And all I have is this $4,000 negative equity. I'm trying to lump on this with no money down. You're like, hey, I appreciate it. Everybody wants this truck, but unfortunately, that's not going to work. But look at this Colorado. It's just as nice. Okay, we can get your payments where you want to afford it. And I switch it. When you acquire that car, trade or purchase, how many times does that actually make a deal for you? Then you can punt it. But then do you also tell everybody in the store, this car doesn't get discounted? I don't care if it's the owner's son. Because it's driving traffic. It has no intentions of making you money. This is going to make you 6 deals, and then you're going to decide where you get out of that car at. Think about that. How many do you guys think about when you're taking in trades and everything else that this is just clickbait? And that's one of the 4 ways you acquire cars. There are 4 foundational ways that have been proven to be successful. That's 1. 2, you guys already know. You buy it to make front-end profit. It's pretty simple. I buy it, I turn it, it makes me money. And there's a couple other ways. So I want you guys to think about that because acquisition is where we're going. You've now heard the buzzword buy center for the last couple of years. My first buying center was in 2010, okay, in Fresno, California, which is basically the armpit of California. Okay, it's 175 degrees there, and we were buying 300 cars a month across the street from a CarMax. Now we're 15 years later, so the industry's caught up, and they said, we should have one of those. That's about how long it takes, right? About 15 years before we're saying, yeah, that works. And we want buying centers. Buying centers are your service drive, your fixed operations, your private party, your leads. But those are all teams within a team that aren't part of sales. They're going to get you what you need for sales, and then sales goes and does what sales does. Right? We're not changing the sales process. We're just getting you what you need to grow your sales department. All right? Any questions? Anything like if you guys have had issues, this is the time where you guys can get free knowledge. I'm free. Okay? Okay. And as Jason said too, remember when Dan came up and he said with a shirt like that, he must know what he's talking about. When you don't know what you're talking about, you dress nicer. Okay. So no questions. Everybody else, they're like, man, I've got enough. I don't have any questions about used cars. Okay. Nothing. Only because you said that you do everything. If you had one question, what would it be? I told you I'd pick on you guys if you didn't ask anything. One question. If you had it, what would it be? How could we help your store right now with a question you have?
Depending on the spot.
Yep.
Because of course, it's still a little bit right now. We buy cars. Depending on the spot, I think it's
Get sticky? Get sticky? Is it management or ownership decision not to pay on the spot?
well,
Combination of both.
combination of both.
Okay. Do you guys have Viato?
Yes.
Run the missed trades report and missed ICO report. Calculate how many cars you lost and your average gross, and go show that to the ownership of how much money they lost by not cutting checks. Money tends to change that conversation. If I go show we lost 45 deals this month to other competitors, our stores around us, and on average we make $3,000 a copy, because we don't cut checks, we lost $120,000. Oddly, that conversation starts to go forward a little bit, because you're missing it for one key element, because the moment you tell them no to that, they're looking for the yes. All right, that's a good one. That's usually the biggest thing with groups, is they don't want to cut a check. You have to ask yourself why. What's the risk element to it? How many equity checks would you even be cutting? And for how much? Right? Like if it's $2,000, so we just lost a deal for on new cars, we've sold cars losing more than $2,000 just to sell the car. All right? So that's a great question. Any other questions? Things we can help your store with?
We actually have one.
Oh. Okay, perfect. I went live this morning and said if they had any questions to ask them, so we'd address them.
This is actually kind of fun. We're going to get you
Okay.
My new car department is overpaying for trades.
Okay.
What
Good job.
advice do you have?
Your new car based, so that's a two-parter. Based on what are we considering it's overpaying? So I would be very loosely guiding this is if they're paying what they would pay at the auction, they're not overpaying. right? I wouldn't start there. But if I'm ending there and I have to go replace this car, if you're under the auction value, you're not overpaying because replacement value is a thing. But if you're overpaying to a strategy or a philosophy of in your store, okay, I will be 100% honest. I would be shocked if it is not training related to conversation and presentation. Going out and teaching people how to do a walk around properly, which is not a silent walk around. I hate to burst anyone's bubble. That does not work the way you think it does. It actually creates conflict, and you want conflict to be removed from trades. But then when you're presenting it, are you starting with the first number? And I'll sign off with this, guys. Have you ever called anyone's baby ugly? You haven't, because you're all breathing. Because if you were in a birthing room and that baby came out and you went, whoa, shit. And you said that baby's ugly, you would see how quick a mom jumps out of that bed and kills you dead. So knowing that, why would you ever want to be the first number a customer sees on a trade, knowing their reaction to it? I want to leave you with that thought. Let someone else call their baby ugly, and you can come back and say, that's not that bad. Right? Let KBB call it ugly. Let Trade Pending call it ugly. And then I can be a good guy. How many of the sales guys want to be good guys? They want to be the hero. No one ever wants to be the bad guy. All right? Let those third-party vendors. They think they know everything anyway. Okay? So I appreciate you guys' time. Questions, we can network at the game. Okay? And I definitely want to know Story Rex. I want to go see this process. So thank you, guys.
All right, big round of hand for Darrell Steed, guys. It's awesome. All right, guys. Hey, we are getting, we're on third base. We're coming around, and we're just about to get home. We have our last presenter of the day. I am so excited for this because it couldn't be more of a timely and relevant topic to discuss. But we're going to take just 5 minutes this time, guys, because I know we're running a little bit behind. But 5 minutes if you guys need to hit the washroom or reset, we'll come back right in here.
To what's getting results rather than like just spray and pray. It just doesn't.